Hello, and thank you for joining our Food Distribution Program webinar on Avenues of Participation, the first in a series of 5 Food Distribution Program webinars that we have planned for the current school year. My name is Amy Bell, Child Nutrition Consultant with the California Department of Education Food Distribution Program, and I will be covering the various participation avenues that agencies select from when participating in the food distribution program. The purpose of this webinar is to explain the 3 different avenues for ordering and receiving U.S. Department of Agriculture foods, which are allocation agency, a state cooperative member, or a private cooperative member. This webinar coincides with the opportunity for schools to change their participation avenue for the 2016-17 school year. We will start today by giving a brief overview of the food distribution program to make sure the topics we discuss are understood. We will then describe the 3 different participation methods a recipient agency can choose from and how they differ from one another. An agency's selected participation avenue will determine how their USDA foods are ordered and received. Each method of participation has different costs associated with it, such as membership fees, distribution fees, administrative fees, and who the fees are paid to. There are benefits for each participation method, so it is important for food service directors to weigh their options to determine which method best meets their agency's needs. To close, we will provide you instructions on how to change your participation method if you wish. As you may know, the USDA purchases U.S. Department of Agriculture foods to support the American agricultural market. These USDA foods are then offered to recipients of different government-supported programs, such as the National School Lunch Program. The USDA now offers more than 250 nutritious and tasty foods that include many items reduced in fat, sugar, and sodium. USDA Foods support the dietary guidelines for Americans, adhere to high food safety standards, often surpass industry standards, and help schools comply with USDA's meal pattern requirements. Nationally, the USDA purchases over $1.3 billion worth of USDA foods. All agencies receive an annual spending allowance that is referred to as entitlement. Entitlement is not actual money, but is a funding source that may be used to purchase USDA foods or U.S. Department of Defense produce. If entitlement is used wisely, USDA foods can make up approximately 15 to 20% of an agency's food purchases. This can amount to a huge savings in a school's cafeteria funds. Entitlement is fairly distributed to each agency based on the total number of lunches they serve from July through June. An agency's individual entitlement is calculated by multiplying their total lunches served by the meal rate established by the USDA. The meal rate for school year 15-16 was published in the Federal Register in July as 23 3/4 cents and is based on the Consumer Price Index for food. Federal regulations require that the food distribution program entitlement be comprised of at least 12% of the total National School Lunch Program funding. For school year 15-16, the 12% provision increased the meal rate to 31 1/4 cents. All agencies, regardless of participation method, can order and receive brown box items and bulk items from the USDA Foods list. What changes, depending on the avenue of participation, is how the food is received. An agency would either receive USDA food from a private distributor or from one of the state distribution centers. Depending on the method, the frequency of the deliveries will also vary. For those new to the food distribution program, brown box items refer to the food products that are delivered ready for consumption, items such as chicken fajita meat, canned fruit, and tortillas. The USDA offers a large variety of brown box items that schools can order. The USDA also offers a variety of bulk items that can be ordered and sent to an approved processor for further processing. For example, a school district can order bulk chicken, which can be sent to a processor to be turned into orange chicken or chicken tenders. Another example of a processed item is bulk apples, which can be sent to a processor to create packaged apple slices. Again, these items are available to all agencies regardless of their participation avenue selected. In addition to brown box and bulk USDA foods, agencies may choose to use their entitlement on the DoD Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. This is a service that allows agencies to use any portion of their entitlement to order fresh fruits and vegetables through the DoD. So again, whether you are in a private co-op, a state co-op, or considered an allocation agency, you may order and receive DoD fresh produce. Now that we have gone over what entitlement is, how it is calculated, and what it can be used for, we will now discuss how you can participate in the food distribution program. To begin, we will review the two methods that utilize the state distribution centers, which are allocation agencies and state co-ops. The CDE Food Distribution Program has two state distribution centers that provide services for the northern and the southern regions of our state. These two state distribution centers are located in Pomona and Sacramento, provide deliveries to allocation agencies and state co-op members. This map shows the line that splits the regions serviced by our two distribution centers. The counties above the line are serviced by Sacramento, and the counties below the line are serviced by Pomona. As an allocation agency, a school district orders brown box USDA foods and seasonally selected DoD produce from a list of available inventory at their assigned state distribution center 5 times a year. Allocation agencies use the Child Nutrition Information and Payment System for ordering and tracking their USDA foods and entitlement. The state distribution centers use results from a preference survey completed by allocation agencies to dictate the types and quantities of brown box USDA foods and DoD produce to have available during the allocation period. The amount of food offered to each agency during each allocation period is calculated by the quantity available in the state distribution center and the agency's total lunches served. This calculation determines a recipient agency's fair share. Agencies are never required to order every item that they are offered on its allocation. However, if an agency has extra entitlement to spend, they may request additional units of any USDA food or DoD produce available. As for deliveries, allocation agencies may choose to have their USDA foods and DoD produce delivered every 30 or 60 days by the state distribution center. This avenue differs from the state and private co-ops because orders for brown box foods and DoD produce are placed 5 times a year based on inventory in the distribution centers, whereas the state and private co-ops place their orders for brown box USDA foods prior to the start of a new school year. Additionally, allocation agencies that wish to order bulk USDA foods for further processing may participate in the Advanced Order Program, which I will discuss shortly. As we mentioned, allocation agencies order USDA foods 5 times a year. The chart shown shows the approximate dates that the allocations are open for agencies to place their orders in the CNET and the corresponding delivery date range. As you can see, the allocations are referred to by the corresponding letter. Our distribution centers send email notifications when an allocation opens and follow up with a phone call if an agency forgets to place their order. We want to make sure that all our agencies are taken care of and able to order food. The Advanced Order Program is specifically for allocation agencies. Allocation agencies have the opportunity to send bulk USDA foods to approved processors to receive processed end products. For example, an allocation agency may send bulk cheese to an approved processor to make pizza, or bulk beef to an approved processor to make spaghetti sauce. There are approximately 70 approved processors to choose from. To be eligible to participate in the Advanced Order Program, allocation agencies must have a minimum total lunches served of 45,000 a year, which is equivalent to serving 250 lunches a day. This ensures the agency will be able to meet a processor's minimums. Agencies with a total lunches served of less than 45,000 may still divert USDA foods to processors, but would have to do so as a member of a state co-op or a private co-op. Allocation agencies that participate in the Advanced Order Program divert USDA foods to processors by completing a processing survey in the CNIPS prior to the upcoming school year. This February, schools will place their advanced order for school year 2016-17. These orders are sent directly to the processor from USDA and do not go through the state distribution centers. The advanced order process is only conducted one time per year in advance of the allocation. The Advanced Order Program uses a portion of the agency's total entitlement for diverting USDA foods to any approved processor. Each agency determines how much of their total entitlement to set aside for processed USDA foods, and the remaining balance is used towards the 5 allocations during the school year. For example, an agency that receives $12,000 in entitlement for the school year may designate $6,000 for bulk items, foods, during their advanced order and use the remaining $6,000 on brown box and DoD items. Finally, the finished end products made with the bulk USDA foods are delivered by the processor or distributor directly to the ordering agency. The next option for ordering and receiving USDA foods is through the state co-op. These agencies also utilize the 2 distribution centers, but there are a few key differences. The main difference between allocation agencies and state co-op agencies is that USDA food orders for state co-op agencies are all planned in advance. Where allocation agencies have the 5 ordering allocations throughout the year, state co-op agencies decide in February what brown box items and bulk items they need for the following school year. State co-op agencies must also determine the amount of DoD entitlement that they want to set aside for the following school year during their February ordering period. Members submit completed surveys or order requests for brown box and bulk USDA foods in the CNIPS. Again, these surveys are typically opened in the CNIPS in January and closed by the end of February. If a state co-op member chooses to use a portion of their entitlement to order and receive DoD produce, they may order directly from the DoD as needed through the DoD's online ordering system. In instances where the DoD cannot provide direct delivery, members may order and receive seasonally selected DoD produce from the state distribution centers. Depending on availability, members may schedule deliveries for USDA foods as early as July. All deliveries of USDA foods to agencies are contingent on the USDA being able to secure and deliver the requested USDA foods to the state distribution centers prior to the requested delivery date. Delivery orders are scheduled 1 month in advance. Deliveries of brown box USDA foods are made to state co-op members on a weekly, bi-monthly, or monthly basis by the state distribution centers. Just like advanced order agencies, finished end products made with bulk USDA foods are delivered by the processor or distributor directly to the agency. State co-op members also use the CNIPs for tracking USDA Foods entitlements. All state co-op members receive personalized program service and technical assistance from their state co-op coordinator. The third option food distribution program participants have is joining a private cooperative. A private cooperative is a group of school districts that combine to form a co-op. The private co-op selects a lead district to be responsible for ordering, managing, and accounting for the entire co-op's USDA foods. Private co-op members still have the option of ordering brown box foods for their schools, diverting USDA foods to approved processors, and setting aside entitlement for the DoD program. However, it is done through their lead district and not directly through the CDE's food distribution program like allocation agencies and state co-ops. Delivery of USDA foods is done through the co-op's own delivery service or a private distributor. Private co-op members who participate in the DoD program order the domestically grown fruits and vegetables directly from the DoD through the DoD's online ordering system. A private distributor delivers DoD produce directly to each agency. Like the state co-op members, private co-op members must plan their USDA food orders prior to the beginning of the school year by completing surveys for brown box and bulk foods and setting aside entitlement for the DoD program. The difference is that state co-op members remain in control and manage their own entitlement, whereas private co-op members rely on the lead district for the management of their USDA foods. California currently has 3 private cooperatives participating in the food distribution program, which are the PINCO Co-op, the Super Co-op, and the SLIC Co-op. You may contact the co-ops directly to obtain information on membership fees and requirements. The CDE food distribution program has various fees in place to help cover costs of administering the program. The CDE charges allocation agencies and state co-op members a shipping and handling fee of $2.60 per case for USDA foods and DoD produce delivered by the state distribution center. The CDE also charges an administrative fee of 80 cents per case for bulk USDA foods diverted directly to a processor or distributor. An administrative fee of 10 cents is charged for each case of DoD produce that is delivered directly to an agency by the prime vendor or distributor. The CDE bills the lead districts of the private co-ops, state co-op members, advance order agencies, and direct shipment agencies directly for any administrative fees. Members of private co-ops will be billed by their co-op lead district for these administrative fees. The CDE also offers extended storage for ordered USDA foods that cannot be received by agencies due to storage restrictions. The CDE charges 30 cents per case per month for USDA foods stored in dry storage, 40 cents per case per month for USDA foods stored in refrigeration, and 50 cents per case per month for USDA foods stored in the freezer. We are currently in the time of year when the food distribution program gives recipient agencies the opportunity to change their participation avenue for the following school year. The Food Distribution Program has prepared a guide, Food Distribution Program Avenues for Receiving USDA Foods, which compares services among state distribution centers, state co-ops, and private cooperatives. This guide is attached to the Management Bulletin NSD FDP 02-2013 located on the Food Distribution Program Changing Receipt of USDA Foods webpage. If you choose to change the way your agency receives USDA foods, you must email or fax a letter of intent to the Food Administration Unit by December 15, 2015. If you are changing the way your agency orders and receives USDA foods for the next school year, please include the following information in your notification: your agency name and vendor number. This is very important because we have many districts with the same name. Address, contact name and phone number, and desired avenue. If you are moving in or out of a private co-op, It is also important to let the co-op know as well. If you are not changing your current participation method, no action is required. Provided is a list of food distribution program contacts associated with each participation avenue. If you have questions pertaining to a particular participation method or are choosing to change your participation method, please contact the respected staff listed. For the South State Co-op, you may contact Felicia Zuniga. For the North State Co-op, you may contact Giovanna Tolliver-Bean. For the private co-ops, you may contact Marina Soto. And for the state distribution centers, you may contact me, Amy Bell. We are required to remind you that the USDA and the CDE are equal opportunity providers and employers. This now concludes our webinar. We thank you for spending the afternoon with us and hope you enjoyed today's webinar. Thank you.